Welcome to the Sisterhood Podcast, where faith meets real talk and sisterhood meets doing life together. Hosted by Ashley and Megan, this is your space to be seen, heard, and reminded that you don't have to do life or faith alone. We're just two friends chasing Jesus, inviting you into the journey.
Because life is sweeter when we walk the road together.
Whether you're navigating your purpose, building community, or just need a soul refresh, we got you. So grab your coffee
And pull up a seat at the table.
This is the Sisterhood Podcast. Let's grow in faith together. Welcome back to Season 3 of the Sisterhood Podcast. We're so glad to sit here with you today, and we hope you are excited.
And obviously we are trying something new. We are recording the video, and we're excited to be on a couple of different platforms this season. So a lot of new stuff coming out, and so bear with us as we figure out all of the kinks of it, but we're so excited to take this new piece of the adventure in Season 3. So welcome, and thank you for following along this far. We're excited to have you with us.
Yes, we, looking back over the last couple of months, so much has happened in both of our lives, and I've continued to get on the platform that we push out our podcast, and seeing you show up continuously week after week, even with us not pushing out any new content since January, I guess, you're still showing up and listening to episodes, and it has just, every time I get on there, I'm like, wow, like it really is just blowing me away, and then I'll share with Megan. And it's exciting to know that you're still, whether you're watching on TikTok now or following us from TikTok or Instagram, and now we're on Facebook as well.
About to be on other
YouTube,
platforms, YouTube,
yes.
Spotify. We are on there with the podcast, but with the video piece will be on there. So excited for all the new things.
It's lots of new things. We're working on a website. We're working on merchandise. So lots of things coming your way, and we're going to get into all of that in this episode. But it's just a lot of good, exciting things, and we can't wait to update you on it.
So thanks for following us, and welcome to Season 3. All right, so let's get going. We wanted to do this welcome back episode to kind of navigate what life has looked like over the last, I don't know, it feels like a year, but it's been, we're in April now.
Yeah, we're in April, and so I think our last episode was in January, but I feel like, I don't know, like you said, it feels like it's been a whole year since we've sat down and recorded and all the things, and so...
Yeah, so let's talk about what that's looked like.
Yeah, so the last time we were navigating, trying to, in between nap times, to record, because our family had the two girls, and they are now with family out of state, and it's a really good situation, but it has been a season of transition, and just walking through that. So I was thinking about it today, actually, as I was getting ready. I was like, man, last time I was having to overfeed to make sure that they slept through nap time and didn't wake up so that we could record an episode without a baby.
And we had some visitors sometimes.
We did. One sat through the whole episode, just knocked out of sleep. So it was good. Yeah. But I'm excited to just be able to sit here with you. Hopefully the only thing that interrupts us is maybe the construction across the street. Hopefully not. But very excited to be sitting here. Just me and you. So.
And it's been a really cool transition. I think there's obviously some some relief, but there's also, it's mixed. It's very mixed emotions, I feel like, from what you've been navigating, but then also watching you be able to introduce some more self-care back into your...
Yeah.
Because I felt like I didn't know how you were doing it, and I know we had shared that, but I was in awe.
I don't know how I was doing it. And I think other people, obviously you picked up on it, my husband picked up on it, and then other family and friends in my life picked up on just, how are you doing this, or how are you? And so I also, with the girls going home, my husband got me a massage and all of that for Christmas that I finally got to cashed in and got to do that. And then I also started going to counseling, because she's not a psychiatrist,
whichever one is that.
Yeah. But she is a counselor. She's a licensed counselor, and she has been absolutely amazing. And I'm so thankful that the timing of me starting, I'm going to call it therapy because that's just easier than saying counseling. It's a lot longer. But since starting that, I've received so many tools and just not realizing, and some of that will probably come into play throughout this season or into next season, but how much we truly don't allow ourselves to feel things.
Yeah.
We try to suppress and we try to push away or push down or
Oh, yeah.
just sweep under the rug or however.
Right.
And so just taking time to grieve and to experience that loss when most of the times I would have just like ran back into whatever I was doing prior, and it would have just continued the cycle again. Which she told me at the end of last session, she was like, so this word with the cycles that you keep bringing up, she was like, the word for that is codependency. She was like, and we're going to get into that. She was like, you don't have to look it up or look into the definition of it. She's like, I want to give you a name to it because you keep saying, I'm like, we keep repeating these cycles and these things. And she's like, so I'm giving you the word. And she was like, we'll get into it later. And so now I'm like, do I want to Google it? Do I want to look it up? But she's like, the world has a lot of obviously definitions for it. She was like, but she said for you, she's like, this is something that you're sharing.
Well, and like you shared it in a couple of the episodes, but let's like navigate the timeline of your life from like, I don't know, September to now.
Yeah.
So there's some critical moments, and you did share those pieces, but I really want like us to step it out because I think like you jumped from this to this to this, so there really hasn't been a breath until now.
Yeah. So we had a lot of obviously things with me working at our church. We had a lot of things going on with church and just getting things going. Obviously,
there's always something.
The end of the year with church is always busy because you have your harvest festivals. Well, we also had the hurricane that came through.
And then we were doing all that stuff with the hurricane.
We were helping with that. And so that was September into October. The end of October is my birthday. And we went away that weekend for my birthday. And then literally the next week, it was the Thursday after my birthday. So a week from my birthday, we got the call about the girls and took them in. It was a whirlwind of just now not just getting stuff for one, but getting stuff for almost 1 year or almost 2-year-old and a newborn. So we did all of that, and then that following Monday, it was Megan's birthday. It was Janie's birthday. I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
I was like, "You don't have to do that for me." I mean,
it was a great time. I was really excited, and then felt great. Obviously, you have like the tired part of the first trimester, and just also not super nauseous, but like had that feeling. Yeah. And then we walked through that, and then we had gone to Dollywood the day before Thanksgiving, and I was actually sitting having a conversation with my dad. He was like, "How are you doing? How are things feeling?" I was like, "It's been great. I go to my appointment next week, and they're going to check things and all that." I was like, I'm really excited because I'll get to actually like see the baby.
Right.
And then like I needed to go to the bathroom. So I went and obviously saw blood, and I was just like, are you kidding me? I literally was just sitting here saying.
And this is Thanksgiving weekend.
Like literally the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then got home and things were kind of okay. It felt lighter, and then woke up Thanksgiving morning and started to miscarry.
Yeah.
And so I walked through that. My parents and friends were all a great help. My parents helped take care of the girls just so that I could rest and recover from that.
Yeah, because people don't understand, like, it's not just the emotional and mental trauma of it, but your body is
physically releasing.
Yes. And it presents like birth. Like, it presents like, and so, I mean, we probably could expand way too much on this content, but I think people take for granted that experience. They think it's just a period.
Yeah.
They think it's just a, like the 5 to 7 day block of and it's so much bigger. It takes such a great toll on your body. So you're in the middle of Thanksgiving. You've got 3 kids. You've got, all of these things going on with the church.
Yeah.
And then this happens.
And so I took a couple of days just to kind of rest, but then
Which is wild, because 2 days is nothing when you're navigating that.
Yeah. And
you really
jumped right back into being to be a mom and caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really, I grieved some of it, but it wasn't to the extent that it needed to be in a healthy way.
Right.
And so went through that, still doing all the things that the girls needed and their requirements for DSS and everything.
Yeah.
And then we found out, I guess, in February that we were asked to take custody, and we said no because we didn't feel like that was the role that we were supposed to take in their journey.
And I think this is a really important part too on this timeline of things is you guys, I think a lot of times people try to fill the gap with something and they don't really, give time to think on and pray on, is this what I'm actually called to do?
Yeah.
Or does it just feel good because I don't have to feel these other feelings right now?
Exactly. And we could have easily said yes, but we knew that it was not going to be what was best for the girls or our family, because we were also still dealing with a lot of, because it's when like the storm comes, everything gets unearthed and everything gets unraveled and brought to the surface. And so all of the things that in our marriage that we had been just kind of, again, pressing down, sweeping under, we'll get to this later, all of those things with family and relationships, all of those things came to the surface, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so much to try to handle.
Right.
And we knew, just with the system and everything, it's never in the favor of the ones that are actually wanting to do things right by the girls.
Absolutely.
Or by the children. They usually have to go through the most hoops to bring some kind of
the system
normalcy.
is so broken.
It is. It's very broken. And we knew when we said yes to them that it was temporary.
They had a timeline.
There was a timeline. Now, we didn't know what that timeline obviously looked like. You don't really ever do, but we knew that there was something, or there was an end point to our care for them. So we were very honest with our caseworkers, which I loved our caseworkers. I couldn't have asked for better ones, which is hard. It's hard to find a good one in the system these days too, because there's so much turnover.
Right. Well, they're so jaded. I feel like after even the shortest amount of time, I have a sibling, a sister that was in this, like, working for the system, and it was just horrific to hear the stories of what she had experienced, and in the time that she served, my brother-in-law also did, and just the reality. Nobody really knows, and when people say the system is broken, they have no clue what they're labeling, because it is so horrific to watch what these kids navigate. But I like, what you said about when the storm comes, it unearths everything, because it's not just the things that are on the front burner.
Yeah.
It's everything
that you haven't ever dealt with.
Right. Or just things you're like, well, this is not urgent. It's not mission critical. It can go to the back right now. Right. And so I think it was really, something that I was very, I don't even know what the right word, inspired by, is the way you were like, it would be so easy to say yes, and there's a lot of pressure, I feel, in this world, because the system is so broken. And because you just, all of these kids need so much, and there's so many out there with need, right? So it's easy to feel that pressure and think that place is a calling. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, don't give it the time it needs to really understand if they are called to do that. Yeah. So I think it was really, important, and for me, watching you navigate it so well and really pray about it, and also something you had shared was being in the same page with your spouse. Yeah. Like that, I think was, and you can expand on that. Yeah, so I would say probably in the beginning we were not as much on the same page, but towards the end of it, well, even in the middle, we were so sure of everything. And even when it differed from the opinions of everyone else, we knew what we had to do for our family. Yeah. And that doesn't say that we didn't not agree with the opinions of everyone else, but we knew for the three of us in this house that we had to do absolutely what the Lord was calling us to do, even if it hurt or disappointed someone else. Yeah. And that's a tremendously heavy thing to navigate. It is, because
I mean, I've been very, very honest on here about the people pleaser in me of making sure that everybody's happy. And I think that's why there's been so much self care on the other side of this, is because I'm like, okay, I did not care too much, but I did consider everyone else above myself. And so that time and energy was spent there.
Yeah, you always do.
And I'm trying to do better.
I mean, yeah.
but it's still, it's in there.
It is.
And so, so we made the decision not to take custody, and they started talking to some family members, and then we got to talk to them, and it just gave me such a peace because I knew it was the right decision. Mm-hmm. And so we dropped them off. We had to meet halfway. I'm not going to say the state that they're in just for their safety and things, but we had to meet halfway. And so we left and dropped them off. And obviously it was very emotional. The night before was actually really rough with the baby. And then the next day, I didn't realize the impact or how it was going to affect me just saying goodbye to the 2-year-old. Because we had her previously, and so that relationship...
There's a lot more investment and time.
Yes, and so it just felt... It was a loss, and that's really the only way to put it. And so we said goodbye to them. We've still been able to keep in contact with them and through pictures and messaging with the ones that have them in their care. And we know that God is good in that. And so it's been a lot. It's been a lot, and just, I mean, that was really just 5 months of almost 6 of just upheaval. Whirlwind, yeah.
Tornado, maybe.
A hurricane, whatever you want to call it. And then our area was obviously affected by some wildfires and
crazy times.
So just...
Some would say biblical times. I'm like, could we just not let's not throw that
we're
out.
getting them all.
Yeah.
All the end time prophecies are beginning to take place. But anyway, so it's been... I'm good.
So remind us what your word for the year was.
Peace. I actually brought that up in our class on Wednesday night, and I was like, my word for this year was peace. And I was like, I know we didn't talk about words this year, and they were all like, your word was peace. And so even, which I mean, we do live together in there as well, and so they know our situation, and they were all just kind of like, are you okay? Are you good? Yeah. So I do. My word was peace, and I believe that it is coming, and I'm seeing bits of it starting to sprinkle in. But so I had a lot going on, but you also had a lot going on in your life. So why don't you update as much as
I feel like we're both in some semi-season of healing.
Yes.
Which I'm welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very open to that, obviously. So I've shared, I think, a couple times in really minimal ways that was navigating a startup and amidst having the boys and a marriage that I still have, thank God, and a lot of different elements there, but I'm not really sure how to wordsmith this graciously, so I'm going to just give it, and it just kind of is. Was very much deceived by some individuals in that world, and within the startup world, and have been navigating tremendous trust missteps, and not on my part, but on the part of people that I really did trust and put my life into and put my work into for pretty much the last year.
And she was still rocking out editing this podcast so that we could get it to you each week. So
it's been a fun time, but I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. But this is always, for me, truly, this has been the thing I look forward to. Because when that was getting, so much red flags and so much stress, this was the thing that was my grounding space. So I've been so thankful, throughout everything that we were able to do this, because this has been kind of my clinging to. And I've just recently shared with a couple of family members the full extent of what I navigated this past year, and I can't lend a whole lot of light because I'm not going to defame somebody. I'm not going to, that's not in me,
Mm-hmm.
because Christ is in me.
Yeah.
And so forgiveness is hard, but I get it. So everybody gets it. If I get to be forgiven, then everybody gets it. Ashley got me this book, I Want to Trust You, But I Don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been navigating that in this season. Ironically, I had this connection, and we're going to have her as a special guest that I met randomly at church.
Mm-hmm.
And she leads these forgiveness conversations. And she gave me a book she has no clue what I've navigated this year. So God has just been really faithful to replace with resources.
Yes.
And when I shared with some of my family, and it was just really this last weekend, I gave like full scope of, hey, this is the whole picture.
Yeah.
They had no clue, no idea. And some of the responses really were just so beautiful to me in the way that my family met me where I was. Like my really just amazing uncle was just like, how is your faith right now?
Yeah.
Because these things, every day I'm praying about this company that I'm doing. Every day I'm praying about God, hey, open the doors where you want them open, shut the doors where you want them shut. And as I look back, which hindsight is always painful, because I'm always like, how did I not?
How was I not?
Yeah. God was like, absolutely not. And I was just like, no, but this one.
Yeah.
But this is a nice window. I'll go out the window.
Yeah.
It's going to work. So,
but you were so in it too, and you believed what was being told to you. So maybe when that door was shut or a window was left open a little bit, it was like, okay, but and so there was a.
What about what I saw in the valley? What about what I experienced on the mountaintop? What about And I think that's what makes us flesh.
Yeah.
And my uncle said this to me. He's like, if you knew you were deceived, you wouldn't be deceived.
Yeah.
That's what deception is.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, but I just feel, and it creates a lot of not just distrust in others, but distrust within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you start to look at your filter, your discernment, your, fill in the gap of whatever that is, your esteem, your self-esteem. Yeah. All of these things become so heavy.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of this, just for complete transparency, which I actually hate that word now. So for complete honesty's sake, a lot of this is only possible when there's relationship, and this was an individual that I have known my whole life.
Yeah.
And so I think that is the only way that this deception is successfully bridged on such a large scale. And it's painful.
Yeah.
It's super painful. And so I think, evaluating all of those pieces and trying to, think about and navigate, who I am, what I'm called to, where I'm supposed to be, has given me a lot of time for reflection, which is not a fun space.
It's hard.
Because none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that there is a humbling that happens in reflection that is necessary to move forward.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have chosen that. I think for me and in the reflection, the hardest part has been realizing that I didn't lose a year. Nothing is wasted. Skill sets are, developed.
Yeah.
Experience can equal wisdom. All of those things are great. The hard part for me has been a year of my life with my boys was so stressed and so sacrificed.
Yeah.
For the sake of what I anticipated and believed in.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking back on all of these opportunities, these moments where I was so focused over here when I was, if I had the ability to be present. And so what that has encouraged for me in this season that I'm now in, is a lot more presence.
Yeah.
And a lot more focus and a lot less of my phone and a lot less of distractions.
Yeah.
That being said, we are also doing soccer, so that's been a great time. I still need some of those distractors because sometimes you can dwell too much.
Yeah.
But I'm just very thankful. I have an amazing husband that navigated this with me and has never blamed me or discredited me or, because it would be so easy for him to say, well, we've lost a year, well, you wasted, and he has been so encouraging and so constant. And I'm so thankful, even 2 nights ago, because this is a weird season.
Yeah.
I'm, looking for work. I'm updating resumes. I'm seeking counsel for the things that are really disruptive on my internal, right?
Yeah.
And so it's been a weird, like just for the sake of all of the things, I gained like 40 pounds in like, I think it was like 5 or 6 months of work, just what was happening and the stress that was creating. I mean, it's just so unhealthy, finding that new balance. But like 2 nights ago, he just texted me and he was just like, thank you for being an amazing partner. I love you. And things that I know I'm not doing 100%.
Yeah.
I know like maybe I'm doing 40%. Maybe, like on a
But
good
that's
day.
the beauty. I saw that's the beauty. So many times we think marriage is 50-50.
Yeah.
And it's not. Like, not ever, because sometimes I'm not able to even give 50. I'm only able to give 20, and I'm terrible at math, so I'm not gonna. I should have done.
He might be 80. You'll be 20.
80. Yeah, 80,
sure.
20, whatever.
Girl math.
So yeah, I should not have started with percentages. But anyway, so sometimes he's going to have to do that other 80% because all you can give is 20%. But there's going to be times when he's not able to give that, and 40, 20, whatever you want to do.
No,
I mean,
absolutely.
And so that's the beauty that he's recognizing. You still showed up. You still were a mom. It may not have been in the capacity and that you wanted it to be.
Right.
But he saw value in things that you did take time for. And that is something about you that you do. You, even for the people that were working under you, you took time to make sure that they still felt valued, even in a very crappy situation. Like you were reassuring them, even if it was under a lie. You were reassuring them, not just because you felt the need to as an employer, but because you're a good person and you do care about people and what they go through.
And I think that's how, God uses us, you know. So there's always like something to be gleaned or something that he's like, I'm still working.
Yeah.
I'm still doing. Like, I didn't stop because you ran into a brick wall. Cause that's how I felt, know. But he's never not been in there with me.
He's so good.
He is.
We don't deserve.
No.
Lord, we don't deserve him at all and what he gives to us every day.
Yeah. And navigating this season, I think of like this healing. There's a lot of like, I guess for me, and I'm sure for you, reliving. Mm-hmm. And so like it feels tremendously present. Yeah. No matter when it occurred. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's something that in grief. Yeah. And in pain and true pain and trauma, if we're going to label it something, the healing causes reliving to be necessary. Mm-hmm. Because as you're navigating it, you have to call those things out. Yeah. You have to reference those things. And then especially with the loss of children, I think we have to talk about them because those are our babies. Doesn't matter if they're here on our side or if they're in heaven waiting for us. And by the way, like I absolutely hate my algorithm when I get too deep in a hole, because then it, like that new trend that was, put me in my sneakers and my tennis shoes. Because, oh my God, I'm like, because I can't read those things. But also I think it is so beautiful that we can call out those kids and we can talk about them, because we should. Yeah. We should be able to do that because they're our kids no matter where they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the looking forward is part of the healing.
Yeah. So what is something that you've learned through all of this? And then I'll answer as well.
Well, I think probably my biggest
okay. Just do one, or have multiple, because sometimes it's not just one thing,
right?
And that's another thing that I learned. Like, we don't just experience one feeling at one time. Yeah. Like, it's usually multiple feelings that we're experiencing, and so
I think one of the things is like I really I feel like I do hear and I do listen when I ask God to give me, the route, the map, the answer, the door, the window, whatever. But I would I think one of my biggest takeaways, I really want to be so sensitive, and I don't want to lightly tread where I'm not supposed to. Yeah. Not even lightly. Like I don't want to be there for a second. Yeah. If that's not 100% where God wants me to be. And I do feel like I was supposed to navigate that season. I do feel like that's exactly where he wanted me to be. And if he had given me awareness of the full scope, I would never have chosen it. Yeah. So I think that that is the beauty of what God can do and how he works in whatever it is. But I have seen him do some beautiful things as a result of it. And I'm so thankful on the other side for the full experience, and I really didn't ever think I would say that.
Yeah.
Because of who he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I get to lean into him fully. I think when I walked out of it, I started questioning so many things. And I've watched him affirm those things and, give peace to those things. But I also think my word of the year, the refine, I think that is exactly in me, and me putting that out, that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
So yes, I think my biggest takeaway is that I'm being refined, and it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
And so I should rejoice in that. So not on the Job level, but somewhere around there. So what about you?
Well, and I read a quote last night that was like, no matter how hard it is and how difficult it is when we're obedient to the Lord and what he's calling us through or to, there's always peace at the end of it.
Yeah.
And so for you, even though it was so hard, and it's still hard because it's something that you're having to walk through, there's going to be a peace of mind that you have at the end of all of it, all of this, that you're just...
Yeah. Well, and he goes before me, and he's behind me, and he's beside me, and so I'm like, there's so many things, like you're saying, we're still navigating some of the pieces of the closing of this season, and I'm very bold.
Yeah.
Because I'm not nervous. I'm not scared. I know who surrounds me, and I know who goes before me.
Yeah.
So I think that has really reframed my confidence in who God is.
Yeah. My mind goes to an old Pentecostal song. I don't know if you know it, but it might have been a song that even our praise, he might have wrote it. I don't know. But like, power, fill the Spirit. And it's like, he's on my right, that's my left, but he's on my right, he's on my left. Don't know things, guys. This might not be good for us. You'll see how real dumb I am.
But you're right. Yeah. Power felt.
So, and that kind of leads into what I've been learning through the season as well. And you said bold, and I was like, yes, I feel so... walking through this and getting help for my mental health and just all of that, it has given me such a boldness that I'm like, if I'm feeling a certain way, you're gonna know.
Yeah.
It may not be how you're meaning to come at it or whatever, but and even like hard conversations like that I'm gonna have to have, or I've had, I have like this emboldened authority, I guess, would be where I'm like, I can say this, and normal Ashley or old Ashley would be
like, hold it.
Oh my gosh,
like, that's a little much.
And hold on to all that anxiety and just be like, should I say this? Should I say it this way? And yes. And so I feel like through this season, through all the things that we've experienced and we've gone through, and fighting for what I believe, what we believe, what I believe for my family. Yeah. It's just, so I don't want to say we're on the other side of it, because there's still things that we have to navigate, but it's such a reassurance that, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not, I might be a little. You see my shin algorithm. Right? You might think I'm a little crazy.
That's in the merch. But to your point, you tend to gaslight yourself so much in these things and our emotions. And like what you said, a lot of the times we try to identify this one emotion. It's like, there's about 42 happening here. Yeah. So you're not gaslit. You're not crazy. You're not missing the mark. You're right where, God has you.
Yeah. And so it's been crazy. It's been crazy we're like, 6 months into it now, but he's still good, and he's still so faithful, and just the opportunities that have even come for us and this podcast, and we're just so blessed and thankful that he's given us this platform, or I am for sure that he's given us this platform to use. This was, I know, a dream that the Lord had given me, back in 2016. Very detailed. Now, some of it looks a little bit different, but
like my face.
No. I didn't know your face, but it was there. But the way that he's worked and lined up everything, and all I had to do was be obedient and say yes. And I know like something exciting. And even working on the website, it was like, tell how this got started. And I was like, well, we met through mutual friends at a Bible study, and we're age gap friends.
Yeah.
And it's just turned into something so beautiful, and something I would not ever could have imagined for myself. But how thankful I am that you came in when you did, and that we connected over church and church trauma and backgrounds and upbringings, and then what the Lord has just done through it. And I truly am. I'm so thankful for you. And wrote about you in my gratitude journal. I have to keep, just because that's something that, if you don't do it, she was like, if you don't do it, let me look at you really quick. I feel like
you at home.
I feel like the pastors when they're on the live stream. I'm talking to you sitting there. But if you don't, because sometimes when we are journaling, we get so focused on all that's not going right. And not good or whatever, and we forget to be thankful. And so she was like, my counselor, she was like, I want you to, she's like, start a whole separate journal and it just be filled with what you're thankful for. And so I was like, well, I'm thankful for Megan. And I listed off some other friends. And then I was like, and I'm thankful for being able to go to the coffee shop.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for being able to just run errands. And that may sound, if you're in a season of parenthood where you have little ones with you and you have to take them in, during those 5 months, I realized like how hard it was to do errands with two littles.
Or how much longer it takes to do anything.
Yes. Yeah. And even with Charlie, like I breastfed her, so I never had to like keep a bottle or things like that. And so just all the different things that, anyways. So just reminding myself to be
thankful.
More thankful for all that he's given me, all that he's put in my life. And so I do want to challenge you with that. I'm not going to keep looking at you, but
I think that's beautiful, because I think, I remember way back in like the youth group days, we had a pastor that said, if you start your day, so spend 15 minutes thinking and you can't have a bad day.
Yeah.
Because you realize like me getting up in the morning and using my legs.
Yeah.
I need to be thankful for that, because there's people that got up this morning that could not.
Yeah.
Me getting up in the morning and being able to breathe or sing or all of that, all out in the world that cannot do these things that we take for granted every day. And so he was like, if you can just spend 15, 20 minutes being thankful, you'll have a great day. You can't have a bad day.
No. Yeah. No, that's so exciting. And it's so good, because when we do take that time to just be honest with God and what he does for us, and just reminding ourselves that like we do have so much more than what the enemy just tries to put like right here in our face. And it's like, no, if we can get past that, wipe the bug off the windshield,
the front burner, whatever it is, the putting everything in the background, that background matters so much. And, and I think I read something recently, inherently the details are the big things. The things that we make minimum and small and every day, those are the big things. But I also am very thankful for you. And I do think, especially this last year, navigating that, I think my faith could have had opportunities to waver or to diminish or even dissolve, walking through certain things. Yeah. And you have been such a grounding source for me. And I think it's funny because you make me less serious in the areas where I tend to be way too serious for no reason because I feel like I'm old. And then you help me.
Old.
but a little creaky. But you help me dive into the things that I thought I knew. Yeah. And I think that is, what we both get to experience in this is that I feel like every time we navigate a story, I'm just like blown away by the things I did not or assumed that I knew fully. So I'm so thankful for you and thankful for us being able to do this and continuing it,
Well, and I think too, the way that even the other night at Bible study, and we saw like a different side of each other too with my Shein app. I just re-downloaded it.
I was dying.
And it just, I don't know. It's not typically how I respond to things, but it was so funny. Yeah. And so we saw a side of each other. So we're still like learning our friendship and learning the things like where we are very, I think, similar in some ways, that there's still the The fun times. And so that's kind of what we want to bring to you for this season. Obviously, we're going to still hopefully bring some laughter and comedic relief and all that for you. But we still plan to have some challenging topics and to bring thoughts and ideas and conversations that provoke you to go further than even what we've brought to the table.
And some amazing guest speakers.
We do. We have 5.
Yes.
Well, technically 6, but they're together.
Yeah.
So, yes, 5 very special guests from all different walks of life. Where I think last season we had a lot of people not in similar, but they were all about.
There was like a more of a focus on your walk with God.
Yeah.
So the content was a little bit more connective as far as it was similar. I mean, there was still different peaks and valleys for those individuals, but it was very similar in the focus.
Yes. So we have, I think each of these are going to be like very completely different on the grand scheme of things.
Delivery, focus, content. We're excited.
Yeah. So that's going to be really good. And then another exciting, it's kind of like a bittersweet thing. But so we met through Gathered because of Haley and Morgan, and they started this beautiful Bible study that had obviously it changed our lives.
Yeah,
but it impacted a lot of people, and they are in a season of transition as well.
Yep.
And they approached us. They closed where we were meeting. They didn't renew their lease and all of this, and they approached us and asked us if we would like to take over Gathered, the Bible study that we were leading or that we were a part of. And so we prayed about it, but we also quickly were like, yeah.
Well, and it was just that I think there was just an ease of that too, because we had all, they had said the yes and they had been obedient, and we had fully supported their yes and been, and there's a resource and you had communicated, I had communicated within the study, and then numerous times, and then we had been a part of like worship in different areas or different elements of what was happening there. So there was an ease of that, I think, and it felt so right. I think we both immediately had peace about what that transition would look like.
Yeah. And so they asked if we would, and they wanted it to come under it's a ministry, our ministry with the podcast. And so moving forward, it will not be called Gathered anymore. I mean, we'll still probably call it just out of habit.
Yeah.
But it will be the Sisterhood Sessions. And so it'll be still Bible study format, similar to how we do episodes. We'll come in with topics or particular person in the Bible, and then just like hard hit study, and then go into just a time of conversation, because that's the part I think that we love the most of bringing topics, is because Megan may have something completely different than what I got out of it, and the way it comes together and then challenges us to look more. Like that happened Tuesday. We got to the part that we were going, and then another member of the Bible study was like, oh, but did you read this part? Like, what's the significance of this? And so it just turned into a whole nother message and meaning and understanding. And so we're really excited for that. So if you're local to Easley, upstate South Carolina, Pickens, we would love for you to come. We're going to start sharing those things on our social media as well. I mean, we kind of already do, but it will become more a part of the podcast side of social media. And then we can create a group or whatever for you to stay connected in that. I don't want to throw out a whole bunch of different things at one time, but we are very excited for this opportunity to continue to lead. Like she said, we've had multiple opportunities to speak in front of women. I missed out on one because I got the flu. I was also in that season. We were sick so much. Oh my gosh. I've never had the flu that I can recall, and I took it out.
Yeah, and if you have battled which we are calling the vid flu, or the flu vid, whatever it is. If you've had it in your house and nobody else got it, like, praise the Lord, because every one of us rotated through every individual in our house. Yes. And it was like so cycled because it was like one had it as they were finishing, the other got it. So there was not a moment to breathe. It was constant sickness.
Awful. And so it's just been a lot of exciting things happening, a lot of good things happening, and we can't wait to walk through this season with you. We've got some good topics. I'm really excited about all the things that we're going to be discussing. We have the video component, so you get to, maybe you want to watch us, I don't know. I hope you do.
Yeah, we do. We hope so. I mean, we're pretty funny.
We are.
Probably funnier to watch too. I'm sure we're gonna do some
weird hands everywhere.
It's like we'll watch this and be like, put your hands in your lap and calm down. So
we'll have like a counter on the end of how many times hand flung or something. I don't know. But again, we're just so thankful that you're here. That either you're watching or listening. To even say that is so fun. And just joining us again on an exciting season and doing life together. So we hope you come back and listen for the next episode or watch the next episode. And
you can subscribe. You can like, you can share, you can do all of the things, but definitely follow along. You're not going to want to miss out on this content. It's going to be a great season.
And Spotify added a new feature. I know I kind of mentioned this at the end of last season, but Spotify has added a feature in the episodes where you can comment within the episode as you're listening or at the end of the episode, and we would love to hear from you in that aspect as well, because it's exciting. It lets other people, when they listen or however you're listening or watching, it gives them opportunity to converse in there as well. So
and the communication is where we grow.
Sure. Exactly. So again, thank you for watching and listening. We're excited for season 3, and we hope that you are too.
Yeah,
I felt like Ryan's. You are too.
Oh my.
Bye.
Okay, bye.